Like zooming all the way.
Just as a quick introduction, my name is Adam Safadi. I'm the tech coordinator. Usually officers do different colloquia throughout the week based on their various offices. However, this year we decided that the officers didn't really want to do it specifically to their office, since every year it gets boring if you go to a colloquia about what makes a website good. So we picked various topics that are interesting and fascinating to us that we like studying. I'm really big into mythology, so I decided to look into the truth behind mythology and what can we determine is really true in a myth. Now, for many of us, mythology is really just a subject we study for Kirtaman, or one that we look into for school. For other people, it's just what a good bedtime story is, or just when you're feeling bored, you open your mythology book and read a myth. Or maybe you just tell it to your 3-year-old cousin like I do, who might know more myth than I do by now. But for all of us, mythology represents Greece and Rome and what we still have surviving of the stories of mythology today. The points I'm going to go through in my PowerPoint are just ones that I've come across in various research things I've been doing, and I would love to have your opinion. Go ahead and feel free to raise your hand and comment, ask questions, or give any advice or your opinions on different parts of what I have to say today. So then, how do we define mythology? I think that's one of the most important things when we discuss mythology in the first place. I believe it really can be defined as a Greek and Roman religion, which is set in place to define and explain that which is inexplicable. So for today, for instance, today we have science to explain so many things, but the Romans did not have those scientific methods that we do today. For instance, today we know that the seasons were caused by the tilt of the Earth on its polar axis. However, they thought it was due to Demeter's grief at Persephone being abducted by Hades for half of the year. Now, they don't have the scientific methods to show that this is not the case. So what did they do to explain that which they had nothing with which they could explain it? They made a myth. They created something that the gods are in charge of. Now, really, these are not so dissimilar to the stories we have today. We have different religions explaining things which are inexplicable. The origin of the universe, what happens after life and death. We don't know what these things happen, or what happens during these things, what caused the origin of the universe. So we create our own tales of not really mythology, of religion. And that's how we explain to ourselves what happens. Now, this famous story about Demeter and Persephone is not the only one that happens here. There are many myths that are used to explain that which is inexplicable. The Romans did not know what caused lightning. So what did they do? They created a god figure that was in charge of lightning, Zeus. There are, however, still stories that were told with Greece and Rome that are told today, like the Great Flood of Deucalion and Pyrrha. Now, when we think of the Great Flood, we think of the flood that happened with Noah and his ark about 2,000, 3,000 years ago. When the Romans think of the Great Flood, they think of the myth of Deucalion and Pyrrha. The myth here goes that Zeus was angry at the impiety of Lycaon's sons and at their gall of feeding him soup mixed with the blood of one of their brothers. So what he did is he sent a great flood to wipe out all humanity on earth. However, Prometheus decided to tell his son Deucalion about this flood and warn him. So what Deucalion did is he immediately left and went back and built a great ark. Now, on this ark, he took his wife, Pyrrha, and after the flood receded, they continued to repopulate the earth by throwing stones over their shoulder. Now, while this is very similar to the story of Noah and his ark, what we see is several differences, including that there wasn't any animals taken onto the ark. Now, we're going to actually take a quick break and play a little game called Telephone. There's a lot of people in here, but if you want to try to make a big circle.
Oh dear.
All right.
I want to stay here.
Can I stay here?
Would like to question your definition of myth.
Picture of Safadi.
I think it's going to be more like an O.
I got a really bad picture of you and it's really funny. Good to know. Are we actually gonna do this?
Yes, we're actually going to do this.
This is not gonna work.
Awesome!
You do realize this is gonna take like 10 hours.
That's fine. I need to waste time.
That just made me way too happy.
This actually does have some purpose, which we'll get to at the end of this next point. Okay, so I'll start it off. We'll go around, just pass it around until we get over here to the very end. I'm gonna trip over my back. Okay, so.
I should completely change it to what you gave me. Something like John is eating cheese.
Hi, Safadi. Oh, that was blurry again. I think I'm bad at this. Hey,
I'm feeling
look
done.
this way. Don't smile at it. It looks unnatural.
Come on, let's not blurry.
How do I look at the pictures?
Press the playback button.
Yours was just really long. Yours just had a bunch of names in it. I think I lost a couple.
That's my
That's a great picture.
Really?
You like the first part of it was like. That's all I got.
That's kind of what I heard from him.
I was trying to remember what Safadi said.
Oh, I think I get the point now.
I think that we should.
We're worried. I can't even remember what it was now.
It's probably going to turn into
Something totally different.
something.
If it didn't, I would be A, very surprised, and B, that would defeat my purpose of doing this entire thing. So I hope it becomes different. That's good.
Oh
That's
my
good.
God. Just
I heard that. I heard that purposes instead of joining.
I got someone and someone joined forces against thieves.
oh, don't say it because I'm gonna. Well, not that
Right
they'll.
over there.
That's what you told me. Yeah. We lost almost all of it. Yeah, we are so skilled.
Nice job wasting
Colorado.
5 minutes.
Yes, New Jersey. Armpit of Maryland.
I really kind of know what it's gonna turn into.
That's so random.
Where's the man?
What?
Yay, we're almost done.
Almost. Okay, so everyone want to listen up. Let's see what it became first.
Changing for me.
Okay. I started out with Amphiaraus and Adrastus joined Paul and Theseus for the 7 against Thebes.
Oh my gosh.
I want you to keep in mind, go ahead and keep in mind as I'm talking about my next point, this little exercise we've had here, and think about how much things change as we go through 7. You can go ahead and take seats again.
We're gonna have a bunch of pictures of you just doing the same thing.
How do you describe that?
I was like third person.
I was like something about draining farms.
I at least got thieves.
Okay,
You had
so
Thebes?
I had thieves.
what
I
is
had
mythology
missed the
really?
paper.
Well, I believe it's really just glorified legends and stories which are just told about different people because they want to tell them. These stories are made in order to give credibility to a person's history. They're made to give a person a great story behind them. Now, while the extravagant details of these stories are usually impossible, there are parts of the stories that actually can happen. The places described within anecdotes are more often than not real. The skeletons of these accounts, in essence, are actually factual. For all myths, there is usually some basis in fact. I'm going to emphasize the word usually. Some of them are extremely far out, but others are actually somewhat relatively believable if you think about it and take out all this frivolous stuff. Now, to see this, we can look to a myth, let's say that of Bellerophon. For those of you unfamiliar with the myth, Bellerophon was exiled and was sent to King Iobates, who, with the message, kill the bearer. Now, Iobates had already supped him on bread and salt, so under the rules of hospitality, he could not kill him directly. So what did Iobates do? He sent him to go kill the chimera. Now, Bellerophon, thinking this a great task for glory, decided he was going to go do it. Now, Iobates thinks that he obviously succeeded in killing Bellerophon. However, Athena helps him and helps him bridle the Pegasus, which is, as we know, a flying horse. So he flies over the chimera, shoots it with arrows and rocks from above. So on first glance, this story looks very unrealistic. A flying horse and a chimera? Well, more likely than not, this chimera was really just some savage boar or a savage lion that was added a couple of things, such as a body of a goat and a tail of a snake, to make it appear more savage. Now, when you consider it in this light, instead of it being head of a lion, body of a goat, tail of a snake, then it's a little bit more believable that Bellerophon was sent to go and rid the land of a pestilential boar.